wanted the American dream.
I got a proposition.
We bring Elric in the mix.
So he took it.
Come on,
Elric.
place like Sears Roebuck. I'm gonna put you away, you know that? Don't rock the boat, Joe.
Come here, I want to show you something. I provide a unique financial service. Loan sharking. Stop it, Tom. Drew Lane says you've been doing a good job for him.
We take our cut. We do all the work, and you get 30% for doing nothing.
That's the arrangement.
You guys have led my podcast for too long. Irishman's in business for himself now.
You asked interrogative questions out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
Hey kids, it's your old pal, the Irishman. And I'm back. I'm back.
Welcome back.
And it's glad to see Marc Fellhauer here. And I guess my absence caused Shawn Windsor to forget that we do a show every Tuesday now for the last 4 years.
Oh, that guy.
So he is
That guy's amazing.
not with us, but he is with us in spirit, kind of like a fart in an elevator. Guy gets off, but it's still with you, and you're like, oh dear, I'm going to the top. And Elf pushed all the buttons on the elevator, so it's going to be a long ride. But he will be joining us, we believe, virtually, which is open to all kinds of connotations. But we look forward to.
He's got to answer some questions though, as to communicating with us, I think.
Well, plus this is our St. Patrick's Week show, and so we got to have a guy named Shawn on here. So I think we'll make accommodations for Mr. Windsor, although that's also the name of the English royal family, isn't it? Or they live in a Windsor castle or something. A lot of contradictions with this guy.
I do think we do as good a Photoshops, though, as the royal family over there.
So,
and I know nobody cares about it, but I find it hilarious with the whole situation of Kate Middleton's photo. I don't know why. I find it very, very funny, because anytime the royals mess up, I find it hilarious, which is all the time.
I think she's dying. I think
something must be wrong with her.
I think she has a life-threatening condition, and they don't talk about that stuff over there. Although now Prince Charles is like, a bit of bother with some cancer, but we don't really know how bad it is.
Well, and the Queen, remember the Queen died, and she had cancer for like 9 months, and nobody knew about it. And she was still making appearances on the TV, on the telly, as it were.
Yeah,
which she could easily do, but for those that don't know, instead on I guess British Mother's Day was this past Monday or Sunday, and she put out a photo of her and her family that was so poorly photoshopped, and the whole, not just England, the whole world took it apart to point out what was wrong with it, and she took the blame for it, which is really kind of odd too.
Well, I was thinking of making her our Geek of the Week, but I thought, she's dying. That's kind of bad form. But the thing that struck me about that,
it was her decision.
Well, but she says that's my fault. I like most amateur photographers, I like to play around with Photoshop.
It's a lie.
She's in the picture, so how is she the amateur photographer? Would she set the timer and run over to the throne?
I mean,
come on, you didn't take the picture.
I know. I mean, it's kind of classy that she's taking the fall instead of just throwing the staff under the bus like her sister-in-law has done in the past. So.
Oh, Pippa?
No, this other sister-in-law, Meghan Markle.
Meghan, oh yeah. Oh, by the way, Teresa just finished reading Spare.
Oh, God, what? Oh, boy. We need to have her on so I can just ask her why.
Unbelievable, she said. What a story. Well, you know what? I think our next bonus episode for our Patreon subscribers should be Teresa should review Spare. And maybe you know what we should do? We should bring Drew down to ask her questions about it, because that would be Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
I'm sitting here. Am I just too cynical? Because I know she really liked the Matthew Perry book, but everything I read in the Matthew Perry book, I just went like, I don't believe that story. I just don't believe that story. I read Britney Spears' book. I'm like, that's a lie. I don't believe that story either. It's just, I don't know. You hear that they're one-sided stories, and I just maybe, they're pushing a message out. And Harry certainly was with his book.
Well, the version of the Matthew Perry book that I'm acquainted with from listening to the Drew and Mike podcast, which I do religiously and I encourage everybody else to do, because they could use some help. We try and help out the little guys when we can. Had no resemblance to what Teresa was telling me. I was like, Well, wasn't there a part where he said when he was 3 years old he saved his mom? She's like, I don't remember that. Like, wasn't there a part when, and she's like, no, that's not in there. I'm like, Drew does actually, unlike most radio show hosts, he does read books, like the whole thing. I can't believe that he saw it and she didn't, because they're both very smart. They both pay attention to detail, and they are both talented storytellers. So I don't know if like Teresa got the final version and Drew got a draft.
And they're both not cynical, but they're both questioning people. I mean, they'll question things. So it's interesting, the two different conclusions.
Yeah, they'll put things under scrutiny. In Drew's case, voluptuous women, and in Teresa's case, me. Scrutinize me like a mother scratcher. Well, before we're joined by Shawn, we want to thank the people who make this show possible. That would be the Yaldo Eye Center, Dr. Yaldo. If you're thinking about having LASIK or getting your vision corrected in general, Dr. Yaldo is the guy to go to. And we'll tell you a story about how Dr. Yaldo changed some people's lives a little later in the show. And I'll just tell you, as someone who's had LASIK done, and so has Mark, we highly recommend it.
God, yeah.
So if you're thinking about doing it, give Dr. Yaldo a shout. We also want to thank Zot Ford of Holly, who supports the show, and Luke Nowacki of Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. Luke and Zach will help you get your dough in order so that when you're ready to sit back, you can sit back on fat stacks of cash, or at least you can let somebody else worry about turning your investments into a secure future. And our biggest supporters are, of course, those of you who are Patreon subscribers. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you're probably watching the show right now. You get access to the show earlier than everybody else. And you also get the show without those insertion ads, which can drive people crazy, but also do help support the show. So we apologize to everybody else for those. But if you're a Patreon subscriber for as little as $5 a month, you get the video, you can ditch the ads, and there's all kinds of cool benefits. So please consider supporting us with a Patreon membership. Join the Soul Patrol. And speaking of soul, nobody's got soul like this guy, Shawn Windsor, who is, they call him the godfather of soul. And then he says,
a picture of him, it's just a blinking S.
Yeah, it's just, well, that S is showing more energy than we've seen. It's pulsing, unlike the guy who's about to speak.
He is the human wrecking ball. Wow, there you are.
Hey, boys, just getting a little bottle of water here. I'm walking by a spa. You know, Mike would probably enjoy that. Get a little back rub, neck rub. Although I think he prefers when I do it. He don't want to
Get the bell ready. Whenever we would look at Kwame Kilpatrick's hotel bills, there was always a spa visit. The guy loved spas.
You sure that wasn't Carmen Slowski? Wasn't that the name?
Carmen Slowski liked the spas too. But by the way, neither Mr. Kilpatrick nor Carmen Slowski have made any restitution payments.
Of course. Still.
Let me ask you boys something. Do you miss the days when people dressed up to come into airports like this, or do you prefer everybody in a hoodie, like I am actually?
Yeah, no, I miss the days when the Krishnas would come up to you and try and push crap on you as you're trying to get to your plane.
Oh, you're thinking about airplane, or is it airport? No, airplane.
No, that really used to happen. Those guys used to work the concourses.
No, for sure, yeah.
And now with security, your family can't even walk you to the gate.
But to answer your question, I would rather not have to dress up. But at the same, I got to tell you, on the way back from Florida, the girl sitting next to me, she's wearing her pajamas. But the worst, pajama pants. I guess that's just normal now to wear pajama pants in public. But what was driving me nuts is she had slippers on, and I'm like, I don't know why that's just gross. I just think it's gross.
How about when they take them off or take the shoes off? You see that all the time. No, people treat planes now like their bedrooms, not even their living rooms, but their bedrooms or their bathrooms.
Let me ask you this question: do you wear shorts on a plane if you're flying?
I do not. That's one thing I still have held on to.
I don't either. I don't know why. Maybe
what's wrong with shorts?
Hygiene phobic, I guess.
Put the sweat all over the seat. I guess Mark doesn't want to do that, Mike.
Yeah, I don't want to be touched by a stranger on my skin. I don't know. Maybe it says a lot more about me, I think, than everybody else.
Yeah. Plus, you don't want to fall out of your shorts, and with Mark that would be a problem. Mike not so much, but you don't want to fall out. What if the flight attendant's walking by? You don't want her catching that junk.
This is not the week to make Irish jokes, Shawn.
Like Larry David.
My people are celebrating.
Yeah. I mean, and Mike probably likes the Richard Simmons shorts, the short shorts.
Well, Shawn, we have not mentioned where you are or why you are where you are and why you're not here and why we didn't know.
I'm headed to the probably the least anticipated Big Ten basketball tournament that I can remember, at least from the perspective
for this area.
Hey, if you're a Purdue fan, great, but
or Northwestern,
maybe or maybe an Illinois fan. But yeah, no. So I'm heading to the Big Ten tournament in Minneapolis. It's often in Indianapolis, but they rotate it, as Mike will tell you. And some years it's been in New York. Last year it was in Chicago. But
And
Minneapolis.
this was clearly something that was booked like an hour ago, right?
No, I booked this a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Did you put it in your calendar?
I did. I told you guys I was going to the Big Ten tournament, but I forgot to send you a reminder.
Can you add the show on your calendar?
I try to remember when this show is. It's generally Tuesdays. Give or take a few minutes around 11.
All right. Well, I was gonna say to pull the curtain back. We're around 11, but it's never really 11 because we're all very poor with our time. I'll admit that I am too. I don't know who's worse. I think ML's you're probably the worst. Just
What?
You have been way. I feel like it's been a New Year's resolution. You've been way better with your time lately. But you were here. You were here on time. And then the question was,
I was late today, but generally I am here well before 11.
Well, I don't really have any room to talk.
And
about
by
time,
well
but
before 11, I mean 10:50.
I do feel bad because last night I thought, I better. The boys are probably forgetting that they're going to Minneapolis, so I should probably remind them. And then I got sidetracked with something. And then I woke up this morning and had to run a couple of quick errands and just slipped my mind. But I figured there was no way y'all would remember. But you don't need me on the show anyway.
yes, we do.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you really missing? You know?
Okay, maybe we don't need you, but we want you on the show.
I mean, Mike is a planet unto himself. He's got it covered, right?
True. But so are you.
These
I mean,
don't really
last-
feel like compliments, but thank you.
Like last week when he was walking around, insulting British people. The show wasn't the same without him, right? But today, when I hang up here and get on the plane, which I'm going to do in a couple minutes, the show's going to be great. It's going to be the same.
So before you get on the plane, Shawn, this struck me as I was taking a long transatlantic flight. Do you watch movies on your flight?
I do, but I tend to, like in the fall, I travel a lot. So you go through the new movies fairly quickly. And it takes a while for them to update them, at least on Delta. So what I end up doing is going back and watching scenes. Oh, okay, I haven't seen this movie in a while. I'm going to watch 10 minutes of this one. I have that bad habit. Have you ever done that where you just sort of skim through and get to a few scenes? Like in The Devil Wears Prada, you want to watch Meryl Streep be mean or whatever and talk about a sweater, cerulean sweater.
No.
So I can tell you I've never been tempted to do that ever, but I do tend to skip from scenes to scene. But Mark, when you get on a flight, do you watch the new movies or old movies?
It depends. I mean, you know me, I been pretty caught up on a lot of the new movies. So when we went to Florida, I watched the only Christopher Nolan movie I hadn't seen, which was The Prestige. You know?
Oh, that's a good movie.
It's fucking fantastic.
Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson.
My wife watched Oppenheimer both ways because it took 2 flights to finish that movie. And my daughter is really, the oldest one, 10, has really been into the Titanic, right?
Okay.
You know, in general. So I've been hemming and hawing. Do we let her watch this movie? There's really 3 parts I want to avoid. One is the drawing part.
That's the one scene I would fast forward to in Titanic.
One is the this. You want to see the drawing?
I like Kate Winslet.
The second one is
fetching young lass.
The sex scene in the car, and then there's a guy who shoots himself in the head. There's a suicide. So those are the 3 I kind of wanted to avoid, and we watched it at home and avoided it.
But you're okay with seeing all the Irish drown in steerage? That didn't disturb you?
True story. True story.
That is a true story.
Have you guys actually seen a good movie you want to see on a plane? That's the question.
Well, hold on. I want to go back to Titanic because the most fictionalized part of Titanic is Leonardo DiCaprio having sex with someone who's over the age of 25. That has never happened.
So I'm sitting with her as she's watching it to make sure she fast forwards through them again. And, of course, my mind starts wandering. And next thing you know, it's one of those, attention, folks, we're flying over someplace in the U.S. And I look to her because it pauses all the screens. And it's paused right on the new drawing of Kate Winslet. And I'm like, Shawn, what are you doing?
Bonus.
So it's an announcement in progress or whatever. And it's just a drawing of a... But, I explained to her that it's art, not, anything else.
It's high art.
I
Academy
saw a movie
Award winning.
called Past Lives. Have you guys seen that? It was released in the fall. I saw it in December, maybe somewhere going across the country. All those West Coast trips with the Lions and the Michigan Wolverines. What they played in the Rose Bowl, right? Didn't they, Mark?
Yeah,
I think they did.
I think that game actually didn't count.
Past Lives was nominated for a bunch of stuff on Sunday.
It's really, really good. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I got done with that and I thought, God, I haven't actually watched a good movie on a plane all the way through, start to finish in a while. It just, for whatever reason, doesn't happen that often.
I like the star of that too, Greta Lee, which ML you would know her from the morning show on Apple.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
no, she's good. She's good.
I won't watch a new movie on the plane generally because the audio is so bad, and movies. Mark, as a producer, sound is so important. So I have this massive flight. I didn't want to watch Oppenheimer. I didn't want to watch the Barbie movie because I wouldn't be able to hear anything very well. So I watch old movies. So I watched some old movies, and on the way back, I watched the Tim Burton Batman with Danny DeVito, the Penguin. Mm-hmm. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but what struck me, and I think I've seen it before, but didn't register with me at the time. But Christopher Walken is the owner of the big department store, Max Schreck.
Best line ever, Mike. Best line ever.
Which one?
Deliver it.
Go for it. Tell us.
No, you do it.
No, I don't want to interrupt his story.
Oh, no.
He doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yes, Shawn hates to interrupt my stories. It's anathema to him.
No,
now he's going to say that's a good word, anathema.
No, seriously. I thought you were, as soon as you said that movie, I thought, that's one of my favorite. It's one word.
Oh, no. What I was going to say, and I want you to tell us what the line is because now we're all wondering what it was, is when his son comes on, they had his son doing a Christopher Walken imitation. So he's like, I'm not ready to turn over Gotham to the Penguin. And then the Penguin says, I'm going to kill you. And his son comes and says, Dad, you've got to save yourself. Dad, you've got to go run. I was like, how did I miss this before? It's like Walken being parodied in front of Walken in a movie. I was like, this is the best part of the whole movie. I would have watched this more close to me years ago.
And now Walken did it for a Super Bowl ad. Right, where everybody was parodying him.
He did. Well, speaking of, he plays some corrupt business guy, right, Mike? Or
he owns the big department store that sponsors the parade and all the festivities and everything. And he's trying to leverage the mayor to build a power plant. It's actually a very realistic movie when you get down to it.
No, and he's more than corrupt. He's a sociopath. But anyway, they're at a ball, and a gal somebody comes up to him to say something to him, and instead they're not really dancing, but they're kind of on a dance floor, and instead of just saying he's not interested or walking away or whatever, the guy starts to talk and he interrupts him and he says, yawn, and he walks away. Instead of actually mouthing, or yawning,
just actually says it.
He says yawn, and he walks away. And I just thought that was one of the great insults you'll ever see in the movies.
It was a very good Christopher Walken role, and it was before Christopher Walken was kind of a parody of Christopher Walken. Although the fact that they have the actor playing his son starts parodying him means...
We got to start. Yeah, we got to start. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
That might be the pivot. So
that's actually Homer doing it.
Yawn.
Yeah, that didn't sound like Christopher Walken. But
Shawn, why can't we and all our Patreon members see you? Why won't you let us see what's going on in the airport?
Oh, because I was carrying. I had my bag and I had a bottle of water. Let's see if we can get out here.
And that'd be great because Lord only knows what would happen.
I had you in. I had you in the pocket. I don't know if we can. Can we see? Why can't we see? I guess
we can. Camera,
we don't want to be that close to that part of your body, if you don't mind. You're worried about wearing. You're worrying about wearing shorts on an airline. I'm worried about getting motorboated by your phone.
It let me join as a guest, and it told me that since I don't have the app, that it would limit some of my features. So that's probably why. You don't really need to see me. You know what I look like? 10 chin, no hair.
Your features are so extraordinary that even limited, they're
10 chins, 10 chins, pasty a little bit. You know what I mean? Flabby, as you would say.
Well, you're really helping us sell this $5 Patreon visual version of the show. Thank you for the
No. You guys have enough sparks coming off the two of you. You're both handsome lads, as Mike would say. You don't really need my looks. That was just bring it down.
Okay.
Shawn, as you know, I only judge people on the content of their character. You're the one who tends to visualize people and.
Well, yeah, that's true. What'd you say about Kate Winslet? Oh, great actress, fabulous American accent. Oh, no, she's a fetching lass. No, she's a good-looking lass. What did you say? Yeah.
No, maybe you don't understand the language, but she is a woman who I would use to go get things for me. She's a fetching lass. Like, can I get a pitcher of water, please?
I see what you're saying. You're saying.
Yeah.
By the way, have you guys watched The Regime or no?
Yes.
Is it good?
It's not what I thought it was going to be, but I'm in 2 episodes in. It's all that's out.
It's supposed to be funny, right? It's satire. She's a dictator.
Yeah, but it's not that hilarious. But it's intriguing. I'll put it that way.
Well, speaking of dictators, I want to give this show or quit interrupting the dictator on this show and let you guys do your thing. And maybe I should get on my plane because they're down to a couple people at the gate.
No, I love that you cut it short because you just got to the airport like an hour ago.
Shawn,
yeah, well, this is what I do for y'all, though. I stay here and I watch the line go
what
down,
a hero.
down, and down.
Before you get
and
on,
you know what this is going to mean, by the way? It's going to mean I'm going to have no overhead space for my bag, so I'm not going to be able to stretch my feet out. I am a decent height, so I made that sacrifice for this show.
a significant width.
Are you renting a car?
I am.
Well, just wear the wardrobe that comes in the car.
No. What I'm saying is that my computer bag is pretty hefty, and I'm going to have to put it under the seat so I won't be able to stretch my legs out because I won't have overhead bin space because I wanted to hang out with my brothers.
This is funny. Talking about the least anticipated Big Ten tournament. Where is it at? Is it really in Minneapolis?
It is.
Why?
It is. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, why?
Oh, they rotated around Big Ten country. I mean, Indianapolis is sort of the home, the default, but
Chicago.
It's like
When do they come into Detroit?
Yeah.
We got a couple of Big Ten teams that people may have noticed.
So it's like an Indy every other year, and then the other every year they rotate it around a little bit.
Is it sponsored by? Well, no, because it's not TCF anymore. Is it sponsored by Target? Is it a mini Minnesota sponsorship?
That's a good question. There might be.
Huh.
They're very particular about their sponsorships. In fact, when you go out on the court, you can't take if they have drinks for you back in the press area. You can't take those out. You got to dump whatever you have into a cup that is plastered with whoever their sponsor is at the moment. So they want you to, because if you're sitting courtside, they want to see those cups on TV. Yeah.
Wow. Shawn, I know you're on tight on time, but you wrote a column about Troy Weaver and the little dust up he had with the fan. And can you put blame? I love making Shawn answer a question like this. Can you put how much % blame is on the fan and how much % blame is on Troy Weaver for that incident back and forth?
Well, that's a good question. By the way, that was tough because I went Saturday night to the game. I wanted to write about Cunningham and Doncic, and I thought, so something people will read about the Pistons. Plus, Cunningham has really been looking good lately. So I thought I'd give these people a little hope, and then you go, and then that goes viral. Look, let me say this first. I will never understand a grown human being yelling at a complete stranger and insulting them.
Yeah,
it's a dunderhead move
when they have done nothing to them. It's not like a politician where a politician makes decisions that affect your life. These guys do nothing that affect your life. Maybe your happiness on some level or whatever as a sports fan. But the idea that you go up to a total stranger who's never done anything wrong to you in their life and you call them out, and you insult them and scream at them like that, I'll never understand it.
Agreed.
So total idiot on the fans' part. However, Weaver can't do that.
Yep.
You got to take the high road. I know it sucks. But that's part of it. And
he's not going to win. Yeah. Well, check it out, freep.com. It was a good column. I liked it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being surprised, too.
Well, it's not like I read it and said, yawn. I appreciated it.
Oh,
all right, brother. Safe travels.
Shawn, before you're bored.
Hang on.
Before you're bored, I got a tough question and an easy question. Does Michigan State make the NCAA tournament? Yes. Does Michigan make the NCAA tournament? I'm giving you that's a layup.
Yeah, no, I don't think Michigan, with their 3 wins in the Big Ten regular season, are going to get in. Michigan State, weirdly enough, they're I don't want to get into rabbit hole of metrics here, but weirdly enough, their net rating, which is still really important, is still shockingly high, and they might get in just on that, whether they win or lose. If they beat Minnesota Thursday, then they're in.
They're in.
If they lose, I think they're going to sweat, but they still have a chance to get in.
Okay.
Amazingly enough.
Well, speaking of sweating, why don't you get on the plane?
Yeah, excuse me, I'm going to go put some shorts on.
Man, there's a visual we don't need. That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's
the shorts.
Shawn Windsor.
Just the shorts.
No underwear, no
probably
shirt.
a tank top too. How would that go?
Brought to you by
spaghetti strap shoulders. Would that work?
Brought to you by Dr. Yaldo, who says, we'll make your vision better even if it's not worth looking at.
All right, boys. We're down to a couple of people here. It was fun. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
Okay. Bye.
All right, take care, fellas. All right.
Oh, that man.
Yeah, I got nothing to say. Oh, and another thing. You know, when you're talking about those slippers, it reminded me of that scene from Seinfeld where Elaine is wearing her slippers and Putty turns out to be the germaphobe. He's like, you mean those bacteria traps?
Yeah, gross. Yeah, I'm with you, Putty.
Yeah, that is a little... So years ago, I think the first time I flew to London, I happened to be on a flight with a bunch of very Orthodox Jews. And they, the style of dress tends to be very conservative, white shirt, black suit, and a hat. And so all of these men, when they got on the plane, they had these very, very handsome hats, but they were in large hat boxes.
Oh, wow.
And when you think about getting on a plane now, you can barely get your computer bag on there. If it was like in the old days that Shawn's referring to, which I actually don't remember that far back, that people dressed up to get on the plane, where are you going to put your hat? That overhead bin, that thing is everything shoehorned in there. You wouldn't want to put a nice fedora in there. It'd come out flat as a pancake.
The other thing, when I was, I don't know why that reminded me of it, mainly because, you know, I travel with my computer everywhere. You never know when you're poolside and somebody needs you to do something for the show. Like you did.
I believe that was prefaced with, if you're poolside, don't do this.
But
you said, but I'm watching porn.
I never get my computer out anymore because you can just be entertained by all the stuff that's in front of you or on your phone or whatever. But the girl sitting next to me, the one who was wearing her slippers, just was eating like sushi and edamame during takeoff. And I don't know why that bothered me. I'm like, can we all just maybe, I don't know, focus on what's going on, because it smelled so bad, and I love sushi, and it was just so fucking gross. And I'm like, really got to eat on takeoff? I don't know.
There's something about planes. Whenever there's a strong smell, it seems amplified and it seems to linger. So if you're sitting in a plane and somebody in the row in front of you is crop dusting you, you're just like marinating in that for hours, and that little gust of wind that blows out of the roof next to the call button and the light, that never seems to clear whatever cloud has.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just weird like that,
you.
because it's, if you didn't finish your meal before you got on the plane, do you really need? Can you just throw it away? Are you really gonna finish it later?
Were they using chopsticks?
No, just their hands.
But they're having sushi and that, dipping it in a little soy with some wasabi and ginger.
No,
well, they're not really eating sushi then. Now, having said that, I don't eat raw fish. I only eat vegetarian sushi, so it's not really.
How was your trip
either,
though?
sure.
How was heading over there? Where? Tell everyone exactly where you went.
Okay, so and I do have to set the record straight. I did give you more than a couple of weeks' notice that we were going, but we did change things up a little bit on our itinerary.
No, when you invited me.
Yeah.
No, I know. It was like 3 weeks, maybe a month.
No, once we changed our date, but I did give you some lead time because I was hoping you could go, because I know how much you like what they call over there Premier League football. But so the plan was, a buddy of mine and I, who I went to Costa Rica with a couple years ago, both like a couple of English soccer teams. I'm a very casual fan of West Ham United, known as the Hammers, for a very strange reason, because they used to be sponsored by Doc Martens, which I...
Oh, really? That's why you
really
chose
liked.
them?
That was part of it, but then I started reading up about them. They're a very blue-collar team. They came up for... The reason they're called the Hammers is everybody worked in a foundry in I guess West London, and so it's kind of a underdog story. So I
love that you put
towards
that much thought into what English team you wanted to root for.
Mark, I don't give my heart away easily. That's just.
I became a Chelsea fan because A, they were on TV, so I could watch them,
and they're good.
B, when I went to London, I stayed in the Chelsea district, so I'm like, well, if I'm ever coming back, they're right here.
Very posh.
And finally, I liked Didier Drogba. That was it.
Oh, Drogba's great. No question. The pride of Ivory Coast. Well, so
That's awesome.
I did kind of like Tottenham Hotspur, because when I first went to London on this flight with all the guys with hats, the big name in world soccer was Paul Gascoigne, Gaza, who was this incredible character, this blue-collar guy from Newcastle on Tyne. He's a Geordie, just like Sting, but not like Sting in any other way. Just kind of rough around the edges, a big drinker, a big partier. The paparazzi were all over him. He was an amazing footballer, so Gaza was everywhere. And so I kind of had a little affection for Tottenham, but they're also kind of the cake eaters who never really deliver. They're like the New York Mets.
Yeah.
And so my buddy's a big fan of Tottenham. we found a date when they were playing West Ham. We thought we'd go then. That's when I said to you, hey, we're going to do this. You want to come with us? Then we tried to work it out, and it turns out the day where the two teams are playing, I have the last game of my hockey playoffs. Bulldogs are fighting for a championship if we can get there. And so I was like, I can't make it work. So this happens to be, last week was spring break at Michigan State, so I wasn't teaching last Friday, so we went to go see a game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, $1 billion stadium that really looks like it's worth every penny. It's
even play American
place.
football there.
Yeah, and they played Crystal Palace, so we went to see them, and we stayed in North London and walked to the stadium. But one of the things that is amazing, we've talked a lot about on this show about how rivalries get out of hand, how Spartans and Wolverines, is the rivalry getting so toxic that we should dial it back? Should we not have the game? Should we not have fans? I mean, just ridiculous things. Let me tell you how this is in England. For those of you who think things are out of hand, one of my big things was I want to go to a supporters bar. I want to go to a bar where you see the diehard Tottenham fans before we go over there and have the full experience. You cannot get in a supporters bar if you are wearing the other team's colors because they will stomp your guts out. It's so intense. If you are sitting in the visitors section, you can't wear the home colors. If you're sitting, I think, in the home side, you can't wear the visitors jersey. I mean, it's like when you're going to a rough bar and it says no biker colors here. They don't want guys from different motorcycle clubs scrapping on the dance floor. The passion, the intensity, the feeling for the home team is so strong here that you can't. Nobody should mix. It's just not going to end well, which I thought was ridiculous.
And it used to be way worse. And once again, Chelsea at the forefront of it. But hooliganism. I mean, hooligans that really came out of the soccer culture, I think in the 70s. But when Chelsea was, I mean, they would beat people on the street. It was nasty.
Well,
that's one of the things I love about at least British soccer, European soccer in general, is it's a lot like college football with the passion. They do go a little more overboard than we do off the pitch, but in the stadium, I love that part of it.
No, it is true, and it's a great game day experience. The one thing that I think I don't really like about West Ham is I believe they have one of the most notorious firms out there, which is what they call supporters groups. They call them firms, like a business, like a gang, whatever, and one of Gary Oldman's first movies was called The Firm, and it was about soccer hooligans, and it came out in the late 70s, early 80s as almost like a motion picture PSA to try and discourage hooligans from going too far. And in it, he's cutting some guy's eye out with a razor because he supports another team. A guy gets killed because they beat him to death. They all play on their own little neighborhood teams, and they're giving each other's pitches lawn jobs so they can't play and leaving abandoned cars in the middle of the goal box. I mean, it's gotten better than it was, but there are games in Europe where there's no fans because they're like, we just can't afford to have it. And I think just during the World Cup a couple years ago, wasn't there something in France where maybe some Liverpool fans got beaten, and there was
probably
an investigation that found, well, we really fault stadium security because they didn't do enough to prevent fans from intermixing. And I mean, it's insane, but it was great. And, for me, when I'm traveling, I don't necessarily need an agenda. I just need a pub. So whenever things slowed down, I just went in and bent an elbow, and that was great. The other thing when you're traveling is, flying. So sometimes I will wear like sweatpants or track pants on the flight.
Because you're asleep
for comfort. Right. Mm-hmm. If you go to past a lot of pubs in more middle class, working class neighborhoods, many of them have signs on the door that say no tracksuits after 6 p.m. because wearing a tracksuit is kind of a sign of being a roughneck.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're all geared out in your Adidas and you're thinking, well, I'm just going to nip in here for a quick
as
pint.
I my track jacket on.
Yeah, they're like, hey, not in here, brother, because we just don't want the trouble. I'm like, really? I just want no. It's just a little cheese and onions. No, beat it. So it's a whole different ball game over there. But it was a lot of fun. And anybody who followed me on social media, I don't post a lot of stuff from my trips. I mainly promote my work for the Free Press and what we're doing here on the podcast. And I do have something up this week about a Give Green. If you want to donate to my student investigative reporting program, you can find out more about that there. I'm teaching kids to go after public officials, and you'll see a little video where they get on their horse and they get after these guys. I met a guy in Dublin who's from Texas who's selling Irish whiskey to the Irish, which feels a lot like taking sand to the beach. I mean, I'm like, brother, why not sell some tequila or some rum or something?
It's like selling oil to the Texan.
Yeah, no, he loves.
That's a terrible analogy.
He loves Ireland. He loves whiskey, and so he's come up with this Irish whiskey, and so he's trying to sell it. So he was telling me about that, and as often happens when you're traveling on your own, you just show up at a bar and somebody says, hey, and you start talking. He did not have any of this whiskey for me to try, but it worked out okay anyways, because he was saying, well, here's a good Irish whiskey. Try one of those. I'm like, well, let me get those. No, I got these. And he was buying the kind of whiskey that I'm too cheap to ever buy for myself, let alone for the bar. So that worked out great.
Did you do the Jameson tour in Dublin?
I did not, but
I did it. It's a blast. So
was it?
Yeah.
So I
mean, lots of free whiskey.
I did do the Guinness Storehouse tour.
Yeah, that's worth it for the very end, the bar.
And I'm not trying to brag, and my traveling companion was always trying to get me in trouble with bartenders by having me evaluate their pours, but I do have a certificate
evaluating their pour,
attesting that I did pour a beautiful pint. So he was like, he wanted me to judge that, and I said, you know what, this is my day off. This is not, I'm not working here. I don't have to.
Oh, what a great Dublin! What a great city.
So yeah, it is a good city, and it's always great when you travel and you see people who live there, because you find yourself going to places and doing things
off the beaten path
that you wouldn't. Yeah. Right. I mean, just a little pub, or maybe just a little, so we went to one spot called 1616. If you're ever in Dublin, it's almost like a speakeasy. It's very dark, but their specialty is they serve drinks with poachine, which is Irish moonshine, which was illegal for a long time, mainly because even Dr. Yaldo couldn't cure what it does to your eyes if it's not distilled properly. And so it is now kind of acceptable in the same way that absinthe is acceptable in some places.
Different than what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so we went in there, and it was just poachine cocktails and nice little small plates and everything. Never would have known about that place. It was an awesome spot. Not only were the drinks really good, but they start you off, they say, we want to cleanse your palate, so here's a free shot of poachine. I'm like, they're giving you free booze to cleanse your palate, to drink the booze you're paying for? I'm like, what kind of a place is this? This is the greatest country on the face of the earth.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so 1616, if you're ever in Dublin, check it out. Good shit, man.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, and I really appreciate Eli filling in. I'm always reluctant to follow Eli, because I think the contrast between somebody who knows what they're doing and me will be startling, but that's okay. You guys all deserve a treat every once in a while.
Thanks.
For all we put you through, but so yeah, so back, and we have a lot of great shows coming up. I normally, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants, but I was at the DCFC owners meeting on Saturday at another really cool place. It's in
how many people are at that owners meeting? Like, how many owners are there?
It's huge, man.
Yeah.
This place is because now the ownership is, there are people who own it and actually have a financial stake in it. Most of us who own shares are now almost like contributors. We do technically have shares of the club that I guess we could sell on the market. They have sort of no cash value. It's like real estate, whatever you can get somebody to give you for it, that's what it's worth.
Kind of like the Packers, the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, right? Is that what their shares are like?
I think they have shares like that, yeah.
I know the Celtics used to have shares too, but I thought it was like a legitimate, you had voting rights.
Those ones might be publicly traded, but I think the Packers ones aren't.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
Well, with these, you do get some privileges. You get to go to owners' meetings. You get inside information on what's going on with the team. First crack at this, first crack at that. So there is a value to it. But one of the things I really like about it is they always try and take you to cool places, which is what DCFC's been about from the beginning, which is trying to introduce people to Detroit and bring people together in our love of Detroit. So we met at this place called El Bosque, which is an old Masonic temple in Southwest Detroit. And upstairs, it's like a big function room, it was very nice. It's got a stage and a bar and all that other shit. And the bathrooms are in the back or in the basement. And I went in the basement, I guess not paying close enough attention, and underneath the big ballroom, there's like this amazing place. There's a pool hall, and they're not just playing pool, they're playing billiards. There's like a disco. There's a great bar. They're serving food. I'm like, this is the coolest basement I have ever been in my life. So so that was a lot of fun. And so I talked to Shawn, who is the CEO of DCFC. He's going to be on the show next week, so please tune in.
They just had a big announcement too, because they're going to a bigger broadcast. They have an official broadcast partner now. I think it's CBS.
WWJ. They're going to have 29 games on the telly, and I think they have 4 games that are going to be broadcast on ESPN2. Which is more than anybody else in the championship league. They're members of the USL Championship, was the second tier of soccer, just a step below MLS. So so those of you who are DCFC fans, tune in for Shawn Mann, find out about the state of the team, what's coming up this year. Lots of cool stuff going on. By the way, in England and Ireland, they charge you a television tax.
They do?
That's how they fund their public broadcasting.
ITV or whatever it is. Yeah.
And the way they make sure you're paying your television tax is people go door to door and they're like, can we come in your house and see if you have a television? And if you haven't paid your television tax,
it's a little invasive.
You're in trouble. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy.
Hey, do they have cord cutters over there though? Or no? Do they
no, because the Airbnb we stayed at.
So do you still have to pay that if
their TV was screwed up, which was
what if you don't have if you're not using the public airwaves, do you still have to pay the public TV tax?
That's a good question. I'll have to go back and check.
What an antiquated system.
So
actual tax collectors that come to your door.
I do have to tell you one stupid ML story from
those are my favorite ML stories.
Well, there's a lot of them, so we could go all day. But I booked us this Airbnb in North London, about a mile from Tottenham Stadium, which is great because if you're going to a soccer game and you're going to hang out at the supporter bars, you don't want to drive. And even though the public transportation is great, stumbling is usually easier than waiting for a bus. So so I booked it for us, and I was like, wow, I can't believe how cheap this is. It's like $200 for an entire flat with parking in London, 2 bedrooms, and we can have up to 5 people stay there. I mean, this is fantastic. And so so we check in on Friday.
Oh boy, I kind of a guess. But
so we crashed there on Friday night. Saturday, my travel partner has some friends, some relatives, so he goes out to meet them. Of course, I'm sleeping in and screwing around, whatever. And I'm sitting I'm in the loo, and at 11 o'clock, I hear somebody downstairs. Well, 11 o'clock is checkout time, and I'm like, hello? And the landlord is Ghazi. So the guy says, it's Ghazi. And I said, oh, I'll be right down. And it's now like 11:15, and I'm like, oh, hello. And he goes, checkout is 11. And I said, yes, I know. And he says, so people are coming here. And I said, but I booked it for 2 nights. And he said,
no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. And so I'm like, holy shit, we're all unpacked. My buddy's gone. The car is gone. I'm going to have to pack my shit, his shit, get the hell out of there. We're past checkout time. Like, what the hell? And he says, but if you go on and try and book again, I have not confirmed tonight's booking yet. So while I'm standing there in the living room of this flat with this guy tapping his toe, I get my Airbnb app and I put a request in for that night. He approves it. And then...
What about the other people?
Well, the way Airbnb works is you reserve a room, and until the host approves your accommodations, you can't count on it. It's
I know, but there's somebody sitting there waiting for this guy to approve it. Next thing you know, it's not approved, and now they have to find a place. They were probably going to check in at 4 o'clock.
I'd feel worse about that if they were Patreon subscribers to ML Solve Detroit.
Totally rude of you.
But so I totally screwed up, disastrous. But I
mean,
I was able
Ghazi,
to.
by the way.
Yeah, I was able. Oh, by the way, the second night's more expensive than the first night, so Ghazi did okay. But it turned out not to be as big a bargain as I thought it was. But I'm just like, idiot.
Yeah, that's a pretty stupid mistake.
But somehow and the whole time thinking, God, it's so cheap. I'm telling my buddy, I can't believe we're staying here for so cheap.
Triple check it to make sure you did it right.
It comes out to $50 a night for each of us for 2 nights in London. That's insane. I'm telling Trish, and Trish was like, I don't give a shit. I got these crumblies here on try. I'm like, but it's only $50. She said, well, I don't give a shit. So
your problem.
Yeah, it turns out it wasn't. It was too good to be true, so it wasn't true. So anyways,
Still though, $100 a person,
So I'm an
or a
idiot.
little more than $100 a person. That's not too
Oh,
bad.
yeah. In London?
Central London, yeah.
With parking?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing, man. They charge you 15 pounds a day, which is like $16 a day, to drive in London if your car doesn't get a certain mileage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
because
so-
of, don't they have emission rules or something in Central London?
Yeah, it's all about trying to encourage you to buy more fuel efficient, to buy electric vehicles, frankly. And they have a very progressive liberal mayor of London, who I think Trump
They
hates.
also have public transportation that's pretty reliable, albeit expensive, but pretty reliable.
You know,
That's the last time I was there.
I didn't think it was that expensive. And so my last day there, I was kind of...
Depends how many zones you traveled through.
Well, I don't even know about that. My last day there, I was tooling around and I was taking all subway stuff. And usually when you do that, you can buy a day pass, or you buy segments or whatever. And I went up to the information booth and I said, hey, I'm going here to here to here to the airport. What do you recommend? He said, if you have an Oyster card, I said, I don't, which is their transportation card. He said, well, do you have a touchless credit card? I said, yeah. He said, just every time you go through a turnstile, swipe that. And we won't charge you more than 10 pounds a day.
Oh, wow.
So if I'd taken a bunch of trips that were worth 20 pounds, they max you out at $10 and they just track your travel. Oh, it's fantastic. I didn't have to worry
it has
about
changed, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't have to go to the ticket kiosk. I just went up there, swiped my card. This is the first time I've ever done this, and I've been traveling internationally since 1991. This is the first time I never changed money. I didn't go to an ATM.
Really?
I didn't go to an exchange. I used my Costco Visa everywhere. Fantastic, man! It's getting so.
Check the
easy.
rate before you did.
Well, it's always better to use your card because they don't mark it up. You don't pay any
well.
ATM fees, and you get the bank exchange rate, which is better than anybody else. So yeah, that's the other thing is
Or
when
Amex,
they say Amex will charge you a foreign exchange fee.
They do?
Oh yeah, they hit you for like 3.5%.
They were always the best.
No, the Costco Visa, man, that's the one. Right. But the other thing is when somebody asks you, do you want to pay in dollars or local currency, I think you're always better paying in local currency because your bank will convert it. Whereas if you pay in dollars, I think their bank converts it. And their bank's just not quite as nice to tourists as your own bank is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
there's your travel tip of the day.
Yeah, wow. So I just made myself seem like a cake eater with all this traveling and all that other shit. But so much for following the blue collar team. But we did do it cheaply.
Do you have any local travel tips? Like maybe if you needed a new car?
Well, I think if you got to get from point A to point B, given our terrible public transportation, you might want to turn to our friends at Zott Ford in Holly.
Can you tell us about them?
Wouldn't you?
Don't you have the read? Do I have the read?
I thought we had some new information from our friends, Mr. Stephen Gabar at Zott Ford. But I'll just tell you what, this is always going to be true, no matter what month it is. Zott Ford in Holly continues to make buying and leasing as well as servicing your car, truck, and SUV simple, fun, fast, easy, and most importantly, for people like me who are paying off a big trip when they found out they paid more for accommodations than they thought they were going to pay. Affordable. Whew, deep breath. Right now, Zott Ford has some things most dealerships don't. That's inventory. New Ford Mavericks, full-size Ford Broncos, and diesel super sports in stock and ready for immediate delivery. Do I sound like Katie Britt here?
No, you're not as alluring.
Okay. I personally went to Zott Ford Holly and saw these Mavericks. Right now, when you see our friends at Zott Ford Holly, you can get 0% financing for up to 60 months. That's no joke. That's 5 years or up to $10,000 cash back on select new Fords in inventory. Plus, Zott's leases are still ridiculously good with payments under $200 on new 2024 Ford Escapes and Ford Edges. Or get lease payments around $300 a month on the new 2023 Ford Bronco Sports and loaded F-150 Dodge Super Cabs. All from our friends and studio sponsors at Zott Ford in Holly. Support us by supporting them and be sure to shout, ML sent me, mate, when you walk into their showroom. See the details and their vivacious inventory at dealsinthed.com. And if you want to find a link to their website, it's on our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com.
And maybe somebody else that knows, I don't know, this is going to be a terrible segue, but knows about exchange rates. He knows a lot about money. We're talking about Luke Nowacki. We call him the doctor of personal finance. He can prescribe an investment strategy tailored specifically for you, from annuities to retirement accounts to college savings. Call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies and schedule a personalized exam of your financial health. He may not know beans about kidneys, but he knows his way around the financial markets. That is Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748.
Because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. member FINRA-SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
Let me tell you a little something about Dr. Yaldo.
Yeah.
And the Yaldo Eye Center.
Fire away.
This is a little story that I think will open your eyes. And if Dr. Yaldo is helping you with those eyes, you could see as good as 20/15, which is better than perfect vision, which many of us with LASIK are able to boast better than perfect vision because of this game-changing, this life-changing procedure. Well, there's also a little lens called Clearview. That's Clearview, folks. And Dr. Yaldo's been implanting this bifocal lens and giving our listeners a new lifelong lease on precision eyesight, both up close and far away. This is crucial because if you have the old LASIK, you still may need reading glasses, and this can get rid of those glasses. Listeners Shawn, Andrew, and Dana Wolf were so pleased to be done with reading glasses, not to mention contacts and bifocals, that they wrote the show recently to share their excitement over their new crystal clear and unimpeded vision. What happened to Shawn and Dana happens to all of us. After 40 or so, the aging process compromises your near vision, and you can't see your phone or read small print. That's why if you see me at a restaurant, I got my phone out with the damn flashlight on, trying to see what's on the menu. So you start buying reading glasses, which are also a royal pain in the ass and happen to be all over my house, and Teresa borrows them, then I can't find them, and I get mad, and I have to go in my Fred Sanford drawer and pull out another pair of glasses.
She says, I don't care because I'm crumbly.
That's right. And
everything
she
you say.
said, and what was that shit you were saying about that super good deal? Turned out not to be right. That was wrong, wasn't it? She remembers when I'm wrong. She likes those stories. But maybe now is the time to do what tens of thousands of Detroiters have done. Go online to yaldoeyecenter.com and sign up for a free evaluation. You're going to like the cost of this evaluation. It's $0. It's free. You don't need to use your touchless credit card. You don't have to convert it to euros or pounds. It's $0. It's zero in every currency. You've got nothing to lose except contacts, glasses, and those awful reading glasses. So check out Dr. Yaldo, and when you go see Dr. Yaldo, see what I did there? Mm-hmm. Tell him that ML sent you. Or say ML sent me, because you're the one doing the talking, right? So, yeah, that's what you should do.
Oh, man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek? Or we're turning into cool guys?
So a lot of people are making fun of Katie Britt for her response to the State of the Union, but there's another guy who didn't really distinguish himself in Congress who's making headlines, and that's our old pal, George Santos, who is suing Jimmy Kimmel. Yes, as soon as George Santos got off the public payroll, he decided to file a lawsuit against Jimmy Kimmel for, he claims, tricking him into reading some embarrassing cameo posts. Well, to me, I say when you'll do anything for money, you may end up doing some things you regret. So sorry, George, that's on you. But check out some of what Jimmy Kimmel got this goofball from Long Island to do for just a few bucks.
All right, so this is the request. The request was, George, please congratulate my friend Gary Fortuna for winning the Clearwater, Florida beef eating contest. He ate almost 6 pounds of loose ground beef in under 30 minutes, which was a new record. Not feeling great right now. Doctor thinks he'll be released from the hospital soon. Please wish him a speedy recovery. All right. Will Santos say it? Let's find out.
Hey, Gary Fortuna. George Santos here. I just wanted to stop by to congratulate you for winning the Clearwater, Florida.
He looks like Jambi with that lighting.
He does.
Eating 6 pounds of loose ground beef in under 30 minutes is a all-time new record, which is amazing and impressive. Congratulations for the win. I know you're feeling a little under the weather, but I hear from a great source that the doctor said that you'll be released from the hospital soon and recover well. Look, have a speedy recovery and then enjoy the festivities of the end of the year. Bye.
Pretty good. 5 stars. You want to try another one?
Yes, please.
George, please congratulate my mom, Brenda, on the successful cloning of her beloved schnauzer, Adolf. Oh. She and Dr. Houndschnaufer went through a lot of dogs in the trial runs, but they finally got it to stick. Tell her to give Adolf a big belly rub for me. Will Santos say it?
Hey, Brenda. I wanted to congratulate you on successfully cloning your beloved Schnauzer Adolf. I know it was a lot of trials and tribulations, but you finally did it. Now you get to enjoy Adolf and be happy. So give him a belly rub for me. Mwah.
The kiss was extra. So is he doing this in the back of a cab or in
was doing that. I've seen a lot of cameos, and a lot of them are just done in a car because they don't really care. These celebrities are getting paid to read whatever. That's the interesting thing about this. He reads them verbatim if you've ever seen the Cameo app from their perspective.
Okay.
It's like a
teleprompter?
Teleprompter.
Okay.
And that's all it is, which is why there's very little ad-libbing. How can he sue him over this? He paid for it. There's nothing that says you're not allowed to trick me.
Well, and I presume with Cameo, you can decline to read a message.
You can decline
right?
any of them. Yep.
Sure.
100%.
Here's the irony. This guy got run out of Congress and is actually under criminal charges for misleading people.
I know. Well, yeah.
And now he's suing Jimmy Kimmel for misleading him. But Jimmy Kimmel actually kept up his end of the bargain. They paid for these cameos.
Yeah, like he knows what irony means anyways. Am I a bad person for, now that he's out of Congress, like kind of enjoying the content that George Santos creates because it's madness? Am I bad for that?
No, I mean, I think he's the new William Hung, right? I mean, he's just the difference is William Hung seemed to understand that I'm a goofball and I'm making money off it. Yeah. So what the hell? Let the good times roll.
George has made a lot of money off it. So why would you waste? I hate lawsuits that are just a waste of time. And this one's a total waste of time. It's going to be thrown out.
Well, the thing that concerns me about it is this is a distraction from him getting back to training so he can continue his volleyball career. So that's why I've made George Santos our Geek of the Week.
If there's an all-night party in room 7609, and you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
This is going to sound like a shameless plug for Patreon, which it absolutely is. Let me be clear about that. I need no more than George Santos. But the video component to our intro, to our different segments now is really a lot of fun. This is definitely...
You got to add a little bit every time, right?
No, I know. The value added to this proposition is off the charts. So we're in room 7609, which started out as my place to play new wave music, but we've opened it up to everybody to suggest a obscure song or an obscure band that they really like, and we're happy to play it here. But you have to send us a story. We need to know more about it than just what goes between the first and the last beat. And Mr. Magoo, if you follow us on social media, you see Magoo.
He's a good follow, by the way.
Oh, this is a very creative cat and does all kinds of cool stuff. Well, it turns out he also has some fantastic taste in music.
I also have no idea who he is or what his real name is or what he looks like. And you know what? I don't ever want to know.
Well, he doesn't know what he looks like either because he's mostly blind. You may have seen him.
What? Really?
Wandering around construction sites and with his dog McBarker.
Such an idiot.
Give this guy a week off and he forgets who he's dealing with. It's unbelievable.
Everything's a disaster now.
Level of amateurism inflicted upon me on a weekly basis.
Sorry.
Anyways, Magoo says, "Hey, ML, it's your old pal, Mr. Magoo, with another Room 7609 suggestion. I believe this one checks all the boxes. Obscure, overlooked artist with a Detroit connection that has a tragic ending. Morphine was a trio out of the Boston area with a unique sound and style. It was a blend of blues and jazz in a stripped-down format. The band consisted of one of the great names in all of music, Mark Sandman, Dana Coffey, and Billy Conway. And if I recall, Dana Coffey's the guy who plays the saxophone. You're going to hear this in a minute. This dude, I saw them play in Portland, Maine. He plays 2 saxophones at once, and not just 2 saxophones, a bari sax, which is a baritone saxophone, which requires like an industrial blower to get a note out of it. It's massive, incredibly talented dude. Sandman sang lead vocals, spoken word, and played a 2-string bass and an odd tuning using a slide. That's right, 2-string bass. It's like he's almost like playing in a jug band or something. Coffey played the saxophones. Yes, plural. He played, okay, sorry, Magoo, I got ahead of myself. Tenor, baritone, and bass saxes, and sometimes two at the same time. Talk about, okay, sorry, Magoo, I was stealing your thunder. Talk about lung capacity. Conway rounded out the trio on drums. You can't get ahead of Magoo.
You read this?
I read that Magoo liked it, and that was enough for me. While Morphine didn't get much, and when he said he liked Morphine, meaning the band, not the opiate, I love Morphine. Fantastic. They have a great song called Salt and Pepper. Anyway, while Morphine didn't get much attention here in the States, they enjoyed widespread international success in places like Belgium, France, Portugal, Australia, and Russia. I know you know the story behind the story, so here goes. In the mid-1990s, at the peak of the indie music renaissance, a friend wanted to go see Morphine play at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit. In order to entice me to go, he gave me a mixtape of their music, and I got hooked on Morphine, the band. Yeah. I've always remembered that show, not just because it was a great performance, but for what almost happened. Fast forward to 2000. Morphine released a new live LP titled Bootleg Detroit.
Nice.
It was a lo-fi recording that was made by a fan in St. Andrews Hall in 1940. I would love to brag and say I was in the attendance that evening, but a check in my ticket stub reads 1995. But anytime I listen to Bootleg Detroit, it always takes me back to that time and place and makes me feel as if I was part of that special night. And I feel very fortunate to have experienced Morphine while I had the opportunity. Segue to the sad part of the story. Shortly before the release of that album, Sandman suffered a heart attack while on stage in Italy, passing away at the young age of 52. So, put Not in Your Ascot, Donna Beret, some Wayfarers, and take a swig of some Doers on ice, and chill to the hipster vibes of Morphine, man, and answer the query put forth by your old friend Cyrus. Can you dig it? I knew that you could. Magoo, you are so right. The bootleg is a little rough for our audio, so we're playing you the album version of Candy.
Nothing really matters anymore. But when I ask her what she means, she says I ought to know. Candy says she's made arrangements for me in the sand. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. Says she wonders why we try. I couldn't think of what to say, I had no ready reply. Well, Candy says I'd like her where she is. She says it's an opportunity that I don't want to miss. Candy says she's made arrangements for me in the sand. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. If I could go on, of course I said I couldn't, and of course we knew that's wrong. But Candy, I said, Candy, no, you can't do that to me, because you love me way too much for you to ever leave. Candy says she's made arrangements for me in the sand. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. Candy says she's made arrangements for me in the sand. And Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland. Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland.
Morphine is a cure for what ails you. And I have to make a correction. I always screw these names up. The song I was referring to before we played, Candy, Salt and Pepper is actually French fries with pepper. Great song. You should check it out. Okay. And not just the song, but French fries with pepper are pretty good, especially if it's cracked pepper. It's from a pepper mill. It's really good that way. But anyway, Morphine, terrific band. You have heard them before, even if you didn't know it. Some of their music was used in Beavis and Butthead. Some of it was used in Daria. And Buena, which is one of their better known songs, Buena, 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 was in The Sopranos. It was in episode of The Sopranos. So yeah, they're a band that kind of infiltrated the culture without getting mainstream success, but terrific band. And Magoo, you know, if you saw him live, what a friggin' fantastic act. I mean, just three guys up there, and one guy, when he brings out those two saxophones, and by the way, the baritone sax, the bass sax, even bigger, I believe, as a terrible saxophone player. I think I've got that right.
Well, I mean, anybody that's seen Seeger live with Alto Reed.
Yeah, but this guy's playing
He used every sax ever made and purposely had that really almost comedically large one, too.
Oh, yeah, but two of them at once and playing notes on both of them. He's not just making a sound come out. I mean, this guy is jamming. So, yeah, Morphine, fantastic. Magoo says the song suggestion is a deeper track. It's about a failed relationship with a girl or maybe an addiction to an injectable, controlled substance. It's for the listener to decipher.
It's a good story, so I'm glad he sent it in. Thank you. I like it when the listeners send in the stories with the songs.
Yeah, I feel like Casey Kasem without having to write anything.
Oh, what? Who? Huh?
Ponderous, man.
Dead dog story.
Ponderous, yeah. Two. That's my favorite part of that, Kate. When he's like, "We're on the air at 2 in Washington." What? 2?
Oh, when he's doing all the promo reads.
Yeah, he's like, "Catch us on KLX." And then they have some of those, the Silver Sounds of the South. Silver Sounds of the South? What the hell's that? You know? That's Casey, man. You talked last week with Eli, great episode, by the way, about treating people right and produce all that shit, all the Jack Palance cuts, all the Casey
Orson Welles.
Yeah, that's a producer who's like, okay, asshole.
Fuck off, yeah.
I'm keeping this tape, and it's popping up somewhere. You treat people bad, the piper will be paid. And for the rest of us, it's just solid gold.
I know. At least treat the producers nice like Michael Jordan did.
Oh.
When he did his Gatorade read, which is easily my favorite outtake ever.
I don't know that one.
What?
I don't know that one.
Oh, well, let me hang on. Let me play it for you.
Well, you got to be nicer than, what's his name? The comedian who's always getting high on the Pizza Hut commercial. He was on Saturday Night Live, and then he was in Half Baked.
Harlan Williams?
No. White guy kind of surfer.
Jim Brewer?
Jim Brewer, yeah. Have you seen the outtakes when he does the pizza one where they're like,
No.
You got to attack this pizza? And he's like, now don't eat it. And he's like, why would I'm not going to eat. And then at some point, you're like, now don't eat it. He says, I ate it. How do you like that? I ate it.
Was he messing around or is he being a jerk?
He does there's a whole half-hour thing on YouTube where he tries to explain no, I was only acting obnoxious as part of a gag. Of course I wouldn't, but he's totally obnoxious. But he's just getting pissed off with this PA who's like, okay, this pizza is just a prop, so we don't want you to eat. He's like, I know it's just a prop. He's like, and then he keep coming back and saying, Jim, don't eat the pizza. And he's like, I know. Then at some point after they've done a million takes, he eats. He goes, I ate the pizza. How's that? I ate the pizza. It's a total asshole. But at some point, come on, man.
Here's the Michael Jordan of outtakes, which is Michael Jordan doing Gatorade. And
the goat of outtakes.
The producer is so hilariously patient with him. And the way she coaxes his ego is really great.
Ready?
Yep.
Action.
Never heard this?
Gatorade. No. Is it in you? Gatorade, is it in you? Gatorade, is it in you?
That's great.
Wait, no.
Gatorade. Do those not sound different to him? They all sound the same.
That's my favorite part about it. He's trying to do different inflections.
Yeah.
And it's always the same.
Yeah.
And then you hear them like, okay, that's a really good one. How about saying it like Gatorade? Is it in you?
Gatorade.
I gotta hear
it. In you?
Right. Ready? Is it?
Now you hear different inflections.
Ready? Gatorade. Is it in you?
You?
Nope. Gatorade. Is it in you? Gatorade. Is it? Gatorade. Is it in you?
That's not bad.
Nope.
Oh.
One more time.
Try the last way you just said it, just conversational. Gatorade,
Yeah.
Is it in you?
All right, ready? Gatorade, is it in you? Gatorade.
That's not bad.
Gatorade, is it in you?
No.
Gatorade. Gatorade, is it in you? Okay, ready? Gatorade, is it in you? No, don't like that. Gatorade, is it in you? Okay.
Maybe he needs Scottie Pippen
Gatorade,
to do it right.
is it in you? There it is.
You did a couple great ones.
You did a couple great ones. Let's just wrap this up because they all sound the goddamn same.
So, Nancy Sinatra did You Only Live Twice, one of the great James Bond themes. She was so nervous when she did it, she couldn't get one complete rendition of the song out. So John Barry, who's the orchestral genius behind all the James Bond themes and all the music in the movies, had to put it together from like 23 different takes. So when you hear You Only Live Twice by Nancy Sinatra, it's not one rendering. It's pieced together meticulously by the producer because sometimes people just can't deliver. I don't know.
I lied, by the way. Here's the all-time greatest outtake of all time, Orson Welles. Let's see. Where are you at, Orson?
Turn camera.
There he is.
Mark. 102, take one. With overlap, action please.
He's just sitting there hammered because it's for champagne. Action, Orson.
Look at the lips on the guy getting ready to pop the cork. He's like, do I go?
He doesn't do anything?
Sorry, cut. Yeah, rolling.
Yeah, he thought it started with the other guy. It starts with Orson.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired
He's tapping the bottle.
by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
Cut, you're going too slow.
102, take three.
I think he had some wine before it was time.
Look at him scratch his face.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by
He's
Paul
so bombed.
Masson,
Tapping the bottle.
inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
Aren't those great? I love them, man.
So there's a great story from The Wrath of Khan where the director talks about who's like a second or first, maybe it's a first time director trying to get William Shatner to deliver this line where he's about to Khan has got the Enterprise trapped and he says you have 10 seconds to transmit the device to my ship and Kirk has figured out how to do it in such a way that it's going to be like a bomb, and so it's it's William Shatner, so he's over the top. So it's the reading of the line is just here it comes, and so he's doing it like Shatner's like here it comes,
Here it comes.
yeah, and he's exactly that's what it's it comes,
very staccato and
ready
sing-songy.
Here comes the boom, ready or not, and so the director's like okay, and his thing was. This is supposed to be a surprise, but if you say it with like a shitting grin, like, here it comes, it's like, oh no, don't send it because we know it's a trap. Don't do it. So it had to be very subtle, just sort of like, here it comes.
Yeah.
And so he had Shatner do the line so many times that he just exhausted him. So at the time he's like, here it comes. I'm like, that's the one. Yeah. We're great. It's right. But he had to let Shatner be Shatner.
Burn out.
Till even Shatner was exhausted.
Great.
Just like, just fuck it. Just send this thing over there.
Awesome.
And it worked out. He fooled Khan. Not easy to do with his superior intellect. So yeah, it's good shit. We want to thank our donors this week. We have a new Patreon subscriber, John. You may know John from the Caju Cafe. So thank you for supporting the show. Caju Cafe, a great place to go for good music, good food, and good times. And supporting the show as a Patreon subscriber this time. Please join what people just love to be a part of the Soul Patrol. Its name is catching on like you can't believe. For $5, you get the ad-free podcast and the video. For $15, you get bonus material. Once a month, you get a bonus episode that only you will get. And once you become a subscriber at the 15-month level, I believe you can look at all of our previous bonus episodes as well. So that's a bonus that never stops giving. $25 a month. Not only do you get ad-free version of the show, the video of the show, the bonus episode, you will get an autographed copy of the Kwame Sutra, Musings on Life, Love, and Life. You will get, I know Mark won't fix this in post, you get the Kwame Sutra, Musings on Lust, Life, and Leadership from Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. I need to get those out. I'm sorry. I will get those out soon. Also, if you join us at the $60 a month level, you'll get some unique swag. You get some wearable merch from ML Soul of Detroit. And if you make up a level, say $100 a month, we'll let you come and sit in on an episode, which should be a lot of fun. So in upcoming episodes, Shawn Mann from DCFC will be here next week. The following week, we're expecting the triumphant return of Erica Erickson. So there's some great shows coming up. And if you decide to give us $100 a month because you're a heavy breather and you just want to sit in on the Erica Erickson episode, we may have to keep you behind the velvet rope. So don't get any ideas.
There's only room for 3 creeps in this room.
That's right, and there's only 2 of them here today, so you missed your chance. We do not have any feedback this week. I think Eli and the boys left this audience speechless. So hopefully,
except for Magoo.
Well, Magoo, but yeah, 7609, he got his licks in there. So please send us your questions, your comments, your constructive criticisms, and if you want, your compliments at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. We love to hear from you because we think you are the best part of the show, the most important part of the show, other than Shawn.
Oh, no, they're way more important than Shawn.
Who will accommodate
the show would exist without
demands.
Shawn. It would not exist without listeners.
Try telling that to Shawn. But thanks, everybody, for listening. It's great to be back, and we will be back next week with Shawn Mann and another episode of ML Soul of Detroit. Until then, as Mr. Magoo pointed out, we often turn to our friend Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
My enemies will be taken care of. I promise.
Cannot go to war with crooked politicians.
Watch your back. 36 bombs exploded. Really think the luck of the Irish is going to save you? I've not built a bomb big enough to kill me.
Give this to the man who kills the Irish.
This is one podcast, and you can't take care of it. We've shot him. We've blown him up. He just won't die.
That all you got? It's gonna take more than a few firecrackers to kill
ML Soul of Detroit.
25 G's for the head of
ML Elric.
25.
in cash. Come on, you should be flattered.
So let the bombs blaze, let the back shit down.